Today we are here at the Australian Institute of International Affairs 2018 National Conference. My name is Tommy Chai and I'm joined by Associate Professor Helen Evans. Thank you for joining us today. We will be discussing more in detail about health as a key global issue.
Yes, well, the theme of the conference is how to make the world work, I think. And I mean, health is a key part of that. Certainly as individuals and families, we all understand the impact that good health has on our lives, or bad health has the reverse impact. But I think there's been a tendency to think that health is a product or an outcome of economic growth. And that's correct, it is. But also it's a fundamental driver, along with education, of sustainable economic growth, which then leads to stability, security, which we all benefit from. So I think it's both an outcome and it's a fundamental driver. And the Australian Policy White Paper recognises that. It's interesting, most recently in the World Bank IMF meetings in Bali at the moment, the World Bank has just launched a human capital index which actually measures health and education of countries as a fundamental driver of economic growth. And that's a bit of a shift, I think, for the World Bank. But health is incredibly complex. So, along with everything else that's getting increasingly complex, for instance, when the regional director of the WHO office was here last year, he said that in this region, there really is, for health, there's a triple burden. There's the ever-present threat of a new pandemic or epidemic, and I think that SARS, MERS, which is Middle East respiratory syndrome, Ebola in particular, and Zika were a great wake-up call to us. And then if you combine that with the increasing antimicrobial resistance, which means antibiotics aren't working, we have potentially a catastrophic issue in the region. And at the same time, there's an increase in non-communicable diseases, in cardiovascular disease, in strokes, in cancers. So those are two issues that are really major. And then you combine that with climate change, which will impact on health. So health is really a very critical area. It's a critical area for stability and growth. So what can Australia do? You'd like me to comment on how I think Australia has and can contribute? I'd put that under sort of two headings. The first one would be individuals and institutions, and indeed our public health programs that have contributed to well-being more broadly. And if I name just a few key names, we had Sir Howard Florey, who was the person who ran the first clinical trials on penicillin, which led to enormous change with antibiotics. We had Sir Macfarlane Burnett and Sir Gus Nossal, who with work on vaccines. More recently, we had someone who's less known, but a woman called Dr. Ruth Bishop at Melbourne Children's Hospital, who discovered the rotavirus, which is the cause of about 80% of diarrhea in children under 5, which is a huge cause of death. And most recently, we have the HPV vaccine that was developed by Alan Fraser. And those have made huge contributions. And then the institutions that they've been involved in and worked on. But also our public health programs have made some major impacts, I think, probably, notably the HIV/AIDS strategy, which was seen as a gold standard globally, and probably, maybe for the first time, embedded the really important factor of working with affected communities and civil society. And the other big public health program, which has had a global impact, is reduction of smoking, including legislative change. So those are contributions we've made. The other area where we've made a contribution, obviously, is our development program, and health's always been a key pillar of that. Initially focusing significantly on strengthening primary health care in the region, the health of mothers and babies, and also translating our HIV experience into the community. And then moving to more systemic type contributions, so the establishment of APPLMA, which is the Asia-Pacific Malaria's Leaders Alliance. So we took a really leadership role there, and we're heading towards malaria elimination in this region, which is really important. We also took a leadership role in developing a child and maternal health program. In the more recent times, the aid program, as many people know, has been significantly reduced, and with that, the health component of that, and in fact the health component of even the reduced program has been cut even further. I personally think that's very regrettable. Mark Purcell, who's the CEO of ACFID, which is the NGO umbrella organisation for development agencies, said that he thinks that it's affected our working relationships. People are seeing us as an unreliable partner, which also then impacts on our capacity to influence and lead in the region. But I always think it's important to be very positive. So there are a couple of really exciting initiatives that we're currently committed to through our development program. One's we're contributing to the Bloomberg program on health data. Now that may sound rather boring, but it's actually incredibly important because many countries don't actually even have very comprehensive and accurate figures on births and on reasons for death. And this Bloomberg initiative, which is being co-run at Melbourne University with Professor Ala Lopez, is a big contribution to that. But also, and most recently, the regional health security initiative, where we're looking and working with countries in the region, partnering with them to see how we can contribute to that. So overall, I think health's an incredibly important part of any foreign policy, and secondly, I think Australia's made a very good contribution.
Once again, thank you very much for coming to join our interview. So if you would like further information regarding our interviews, please visit our channel internationalaffairs.org.au or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.